Hello creators, how are you guys? It's great to hang out with you again for another Video Creators podcast episode like we do every Tuesday here on SoundCloud, iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher, and Spotify. And for those of you guys who are listening in the live stream, good to see you guys too. Sorry for the delay here in getting started. Trying to work on some audio issues, but I think we've got it for now. I'm excited to talk with you guys today about YouTube conferences because I am coming off of conference season here. I think I've been in a different state every week for the past 6 weeks, and I've still got one more left to go, and then I'll be done for this year. And I thought I'd give you guys kind of an update on which of these YouTube events are out, like what events are even out there, and then two, which ones do I recommend, which ones, depending on what goals you have, which ones should you be looking at? And because there's a lot. I think I have, I think the title here is 9, but I have 10 to talk with you guys about. And there's more popping up all the time. YouTube events happening around the country designed to just help you guys with what you're working on YouTube. And some of them are YouTube specific. Some of them are more just kind of social media in general. But I want to kind of talk you through some of these, and in no particular order, but I was like, what should I talk with you guys about today? And my wife's like, well, you've been doing a lot of traveling lately. Maybe you should talk about all these different events you've been at and which ones you would recommend for people. So, and that is a common question I get because we can't be at all of them, right? We can't be at every event. We can't afford to travel to all of them. I'm at a lot of them because I'm speaking. I'm a presenter at these events, and so most of the time they're paying my way and paying for me to be there. It's part of my job, So that's so that makes it a little bit easier for me. Although I don't know if it's easier because the toll it takes on my family during conference season right now is a lot. We have 7 little kids. We have 7 kids in 8 years, and my wife handles all of them unless recently I've started traveling with some of my kids and taking them, my older 2 kids, to some of these events with me. So there's a lot here, and so what I want to do is run through some of these, and I know a lot of you guys are in the chat. You've been in a lot of these too. I know because I've met you at them, and I'd love to hear your thoughts and comments as well. Laura is HowToGYST is in the chat here as well. She's my producer, and she'll be taking your questions you might have for me related to this topic, and we'll be discussing those here at the end. So leave those in chat, and Laura will get those, and we'll talk about them here soon. So let's start at the beginning of the year, and these all kind of happen at different times, so I'm not going in a particular order. But for me, my year usually for YouTube conferences kicks off with an event called VidCon. Now, VidCon is probably the longest running, oldest YouTube video conference there is. It's out in Anaheim, California. I've been to it every single year except for the very first year. So I've been to it 9 years now. The first year I wanted to go, but YouTube was just like a side hobby that I was doing. There was no revenue or anything like that at that point back in those days, and it was just something I was doing for fun. But I still really wanted to go. I was hearing a lot of the people that I watched and followed on YouTube, like the Vlog Brothers and Zay Frank and Philip DeFranco and drawing a blank on some of the other ones were. Day Storm, Mr. Guitar Man, like a lot of these guys, Naltz, these guys were talking about this event and other ones prior to it that I really wanted to go to, but I made it to the second one, and I've been there every year since. I would say VidCon is good for you guys for if you just want to be like a little bit of everything. It's just like if whatever you want, it's there. If you want if you want to be a fangirl and you want to just see some of the top creators that you just really want to like shake their hands and get a selfie with them, you can do that there. If you want a lot of the high-end industry announcements and news and updates, that's at VidCon. If you want some training, that's at VidCon. It's just huge. I think there's like 30-some thousand people there, and they do a pretty decent job of breaking it down into if you are like a community member, like a fan, or if the second level would be if you are a creator, and the third level is industry. I personally recommend that if you're going to go and you're someone in my audience, then I would say that you're probably, I would recommend getting the industry pass, because the industry pass lets you get to everything and do everything, but the creator pass gives you a lot, but from what I've heard and seen, it's mostly pretty foundational content, and most people, I think, if you're in my audience, would probably get more out of going to the industry side, which is usually the side where I'm speaking. Actually, I think I've only done one session ever on the creator side. Most of the sessions I teach are on the industry side. So that's where I would go. Now, it is a lot more expensive to get the industry pass, but you're going to have access to all the top tier trainings. And it's better because you can access and network better. I think the other levels, the creator level and especially the community level, it's hard to network. It's just like a lot of people, and yeah, you can take a lot of initiative and get it done, but I feel like it's easier on the industry track to be able to shake hands, talk with people who are pretty dedicated to what they're doing here on YouTube, or committed to this, or not just YouTube, but Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, Amazon, whoever the case might be. And I found that since meals are provided on those, that when those meals are catered, it's a natural time for everyone on the industry track to kind of get together in one room and just find someone you can sit down and talk with while you're eating, and it just makes it a pretty natural experience. So I recommend that at VidCon. Is VidCon for everybody? I don't think so. Like I said, it's kind of, if you get like one event and you just need a little bit of everything, then VidCon's the one for you. It's certainly the biggest, and I think it's worth for every creator to go to at least once. Like I said, I've been to all of them, and VidCon has certainly changed over the years. And the past few years, I'd say it's worth, based on what's happening with it being bought by Viacom now. I felt a little bit of it this past year, where it was kind of becoming a little more corporate and a little less what's the right word? Creative, maybe. I mean, that element's still there, but I feel like it's mostly for, like, you should go at least once just to get the experience, and just kind of, it'll open your eyes and blow your mind to see how big this industry is and how much is really going on. Because I know sometimes as creators we get in this track and we feel like, oh, I'm the only one on YouTube, why is no one else watching me? And then you go there and you can see tangibly, visibly, in person, just how massive this space is. And then I think you're like, oh wow, I feel like when I'm there, I'm like, I am just a small little cog in this huge system, right? So that's worth going to, and if you do go, I'd definitely recommend the industry track. The second event then for me this year was my own event, Video Labs Live here in Cincinnati. And I'll try to be as fair as I can, right? Like, it is my event, so I'm probably a little bit biased. But I'm trying to do something different with Video Labs Live than any other event that I've been to. I'm not just trying to grow another VidCon or something, or it's certainly not a fan event. I know what I want with my channel when I'm looking at stuff I need to change and improve. I really appreciate when someone else sits down. I actually have someone on my team now who I pay to do this, but sit down and look at my videos, watch them, go through some of my analytics, and let's sit down in like a mastermind type of group with 7, 8 other creators who have also watched my content and come with some notes. And we run, everyone before they come goes through this system where they run through a survey about everyone's channels, and everyone's like, wow, just going through this survey in regards to other people's channels really opened my eyes to a lot of things of what I have to be looking for on my channel now, which is half the point. But I like sitting down in a circle and like, let's just talk about this. Let's put your channel up on the big screen. I'm going to give you an hour, and we're all going to tell you, here's what you say your goal is, and here's what we think the roadblocks are that are preventing you from getting there. Here's what we would change. Here's what you should consider. Here's what you need to track more your analytics. And hopefully coming away from that 2-day event, not just with some good information from some expert on a stage, but I mean, there is some of that training element, but also like where we sit down and talk about each individual's channel and project. So I keep that event pretty small on purpose so that we can have that intimate feel and everyone get to know each other, and we do a lot of fun things together each evening. We go out and do different things here in the city, and rent some buses and get bussed around and do some cool stuff. So, but at the end, it's not just information, but I'm really intentional about trying to make this revolve around relationships as well, so that you leave with, in a private Facebook group is what we got going on with it too, but you leave knowing these people, knowing their projects, knowing their struggles. And so when someone asks a question in our private Facebook group, you already know all the context of what's going on with that person, and you can help them out the best way that we can. And it's really something special, in my opinion, something unique that doesn't exist on any of these other events. All these other ones, and for good reason, are kind of more about scale and mass and just teaching. You sit and quietly listen and take notes, while someone who never talked to you before, never seen your content, kind of gives information from a stage. And I think that there is a place for that, and I do think that's valuable, but I'm trying to, I think there's enough of that already going on, and so I want to do something different with Video Labs Live. So that happened this past year, happen again next year. Who I think it's not for is, it's not for someone who obviously has no content or very little content on their channel yet, or someone who hasn't gotten started. That type of person is not going to get the full value out of this. We have had people go through it before who are in that position, and they've done quite well on the other end. But I'm kind of thinking, if we're going to sit down and evaluate your channel, you need to have something for us to evaluate, right? And so I think it's for that person who is serious about growing their channel, who has a plan for what they want this to be and by what time, and wants a community of people and expert guidance and training from me and my team to really help them get there. So you can find out more information about that at vclive.com. I know that sounds like a pitch right now, but the next one's not even open for registration. We just wrapped up Video Labs Live here, so there's no way for me to capitalize on that right now, unless you remember all the information until next year. But that'll happen probably in about September. This time next year is when that will happen next. Then my third event that I went to this year is I went to Video Marketing World, which is Jeremy Vest's event in Dallas. And I'd say this is a great event for you if you are in the Dallas area and you want to connect with a lot of other local people, but also get access to some of the world's top experts and trainers. And if you want to network with some of those people, in terms of getting to know them, building relationships with them. Video Marketing World has a lot of great tracks, a lot of great information, a lot of great sessions, and it's also got a lot of diversity in terms of what they're talking about. But VidCon does as well. And my event at Video Labs Live are pretty much just YouTube. VidCon's got a lot of different platforms covered, and so does Video Marketing World. And that is, I'd say, I'd say that's probably, if you have a business around your channel, I would say that would be a great place to go to, Video Marketing World. And just kind of come ready to attend a lot of sessions and do a lot of that stuff. Content Marketing World then was the next one for me. It was about a week later. I think I said in the beginning, I was at 6 different states every week speaking for the past 6 weeks. And so Content Marketing World is where I went to next, in Cleveland, Ohio. And it was my first time at Content Marketing World, actually. I have heard a lot of good things about it and was interested to kind of check it out. And so they invited me to speak, and it was great to go up there and see what those guys are up to. That is a very professional event. And by professional, I mean, yes, there's a lot of professionals there, but it's also very well done, very organized, very scheduled. Great signage everywhere. This is one of my things that I have for some of these events is you don't know where to go when you get there because everything's so big and you feel a little lost and confused. I did not feel that at Content Marketing World. And for a big event to not feel lost or confused, it was great. They had people stationed everywhere to just kind of point you where to go. Whenever I had a question, there was someone standing around who, in an orange shirt, a staff member that I could be hey, could you? And they were like, absolutely. And they would go out of their way to make sure that I knew where to go and where I needed to be and where to find different things. The people there at the event were very friendly as well. Now, it's not a YouTube event per se, though. It is a content marketing event. And my experience there, that means it's mostly podcasting, blogging, things like that. as opposed to like email campaigns, things where you're kind of generating that type of content. I was the only YouTube presenter there, and if I remember correctly, there wasn't a whole lot about video in general in terms of presentations. There were certainly a lot of video vendors there, but I'd say that if you kind of already got your YouTube game going and now you need to complement it with like your website, email marketing, podcast, content marketing world is definitely the place that I would be going to next. Because a lot of us as YouTube creators, like YouTube's not the only platform that we got going on. A lot of times it's complemented with a blog where they can find more information or recipes or detailed instructions or something like that. Or we have a podcast that complements our YouTube channel where we can go more in depth and talk more about behind the scenes things and kind of just like I'm doing right now, just kind of talk about things as opposed to just a quick 3 minute video about, you know, top 3 ways to XYZ, and then that's kind of it. So content marketing world is for you if you're complementing your YouTube channel with any of those other platforms. The next one then, this is one I just got back from around 11 o'clock last night, is CVX Live. Now CVX Live is, it's both a fan event, and I'd say I think they're primarily touting it as a fan event in terms of how it's promoted. But they do have a strong creator track. I think they call it the industry track, but it's kind of the same thing there as well. And that's where I was speaking in the past few days on, let's see, I did one session on the human elements that grow your YouTube channel, talking about discoverability from an algorithm perspective in terms of how viewer signals impact that and how we can give Google better signals about our content based on how we craft it for people. And then I also did a session on how to grow your revenue about 150x with a business plan. Because most creators don't have a business plan. They're just depending on AdSense. And so a lot of people, I started out of that session like, how many of you think this is a clickbait title? How to 150x your revenue. And I do some simple math for them. And then they see that 150x is actually really simple and easy to do. And actually, the session was more about how to like 1,000 or 2,000x your revenue from YouTube. But if I went that high, most people would just completely write it off as clickbait. But so I hook them with the 150, then show them it's actually like 1,000. So actually, for those of you guys who are members of my YouTube channel and supporting it at that $4.99 a month level, I do record my sessions, the full-length sessions when I'm out at these different events speaking, as long as I'm contractually allowed to do so. Like I can't do that video or a content marketing world. Because and some of these other events that have contracts with the people who are recording and how they use the content later and things. But at CVX Live, I did record both of those trainings, and so those will get edited and be posted exclusively for those of you who are members of this channel. So if you're watching this on YouTube, there's that join button down below. That's what that's all about. You can become a member, or if you're listening to the podcast later, there's a link in the show notes that you can click to become a member of our community and kind of support this, what we're trying to do here for you guys. And you will also get access to those full trainings of these sessions that I'm doing as well, the video and the audio. So you can check that out if you're interested, and that'll be coming up for you guys soon. But CVX Live, yeah, it's a great fan event. And I would say if you have a family-based channel that's family-friendly or targeting children or kids or families in some way, I'd say CVX Live is a must for you. Like, you have to be there. It's very, very family friendly. I took my 2 oldest kids to it with me this past week, and they are 7 and 9 years old. And they had a blast every night. They're like, Tim, they don't call me Tim. They're like, Dad, like, I love CVX Live. Like, I just love this place. It's so much fun. Got lots of activities for the kids to do. While there's lots of education for you guys as parents. And the whole focus and the theme is very much family oriented for that audience. So if you have a kid channel, a family channel, I would say that is definitely the place for you to be in terms of networking and education and content and encouragement and motivation and everything. You guys would love CVX Live. So By the way, I should maybe just a disclosure, full disclosure. I am not sponsored by any of these other than, I guess, Video Labs Live, my own event. But all of these are just my genuine, real opinion about these. So I don't get any commission or feedback or kickback. None of these people know I'm talking about them. So, and in terms of the super chats, thank you, Tom. He said, I did Video Labs did Video Labs 3 years ago and still do a weekly Zoom call where with three others from that group. That's the thing. Like, this community that's so important, the most underrated, valued thing that people don't consider about what they're doing on YouTube is they're just doing it in isolation. And so you go through something like Video Labs Live, like Tom, like 3 years later, they are still meeting every week in a video call just to connect with each other, encourage each other, answer questions, give each other feedback, all that. That's invaluable. And yeah, so the next event we talk about then is Vid Summit. Now, I've been to this a few times. I haven't been to it every single one because, unfortunately, it's conflicted with other things that I've had going on, whether it be family weddings, family reunions, or things like that. But the few times that I've been to it, and I will be there again here in 2 weeks. This one's coming up very soon. This one's Daryl Eves' event. And what Daryl's trying to do is he wants to bring together the people in the industry who are trying new things and experiencing some good results. And so he's not really as interested in like how popular are you, how famous are you, or who are your clients. That's kind of what VidCon's been turning into, is kind of like the people who speak is kind of based on, gender and ethnicity to kind of hit certain quotas, which is fine. Totally support that. I think that's great. But it's kind of less about credibility and more about that and who your clients are. It's kind of my perception. It's not really based on what results have you had for your client, which is what I look for. It's more in terms of like who are you just working with. And so, but that's not what Daryl's going after. He's going after like there's a guy there. He's going to be speaking, I think. Certainly a part of the event. He just started his channel in January. I think he's got like 30 or 40,000 subscribers already. He's been hustling hard. But that's the type of guy who wants to come speak. What are you doing? Since January, you're already at 30 or 40,000 subscribers, and you're already being seen as an authority in this community. And so those are the type of people that he's going there. So I'd say this Vid Summit's for you. If you are one of two people. One, if you are a business person and you're not like a YouTube creator in the sense of like you're creating a content and then trying to find out ways to support it financially, but you're the other way around. Like you have a business and you're supporting your business with a marketing strategy on YouTube. I'd say Vid Summit is definitely for you in that case. So it's also for those of you guys who if you're a beginner, you get a ton of value, and you should certainly go. But in my mind, like this is for those people who aren't learning about like thumbnails. Like it's not for people who are trying to learn how to make a thumbnail. This is for people who have been making thumbnails for a while and are ready to take their thumbnail game to the next level, right? It's for someone who has had some experience, has their feet wet with content creation, has some experience doing this, but is ready to learn from people who have done something maybe unconventional or something that's a little bit different and experienced some good results as a result of it. So I'll be at Vid Summit and looking forward to seeing you guys there if you're there. And I think that's a great event for those types of people. It's very, very immersive, and it's also very friendly, which is nice. Daryl's a very friendly, outgoing, sacrificial guy, and the vibe at Vid Summit matches that. So there's no one there. Multi-million subscriber channels. You'll never know they have millions of subscribers. They'll just be talking to you like you're a normal person, and you'll have no idea who they are until you get home. You're like, what? I was talking with that person, right? So very, very good vibe there. Another one then I go to is usually in the spring. It's called Clamor. And I'm going to talk about it even though it's a private invite-only event, because I know more and more people are getting invited to this. There are certain metrics that you need to have in order to get there, and they kind of change each year. But it's typically, a minimum of a few million views a month and a minimum of several 100,000 subscribers on the channel. And then it's not like an open anyone can come. It's like you have to get invited. And the way to get invited is to be referred by someone who's already going and can reach out to the owners and say, hey, I think these people should be there, and kind of give a pitch for you. And it's a great event because they are very careful about who's there and who's not there. And so this Clamor has a lot of good training. Like, I'm a presenter there, Daryl's a presenter there, Roberto Blake, Sean Cannell, all of us are presenting there. But I think the value of Clamor is different in that this is like one of the best networking experiences that I've seen if you're trying to work with brands. So Clamor itself is a free event. I mean, you have to pay for your transportation and your lodging and things like that, but there's no registration fee. Everything's paid for by the brands. And so that's why they have like a minimum threshold of invite only and certain stats, is because when you're there, like, the brands are paying for us as creators to be there, and they're footing the whole bill for everything because they want to have exclusive access to creators who are at that caliber and higher. And it makes for great conversations. I love it because it takes out the agencies sometimes, takes out the middleman. The managers are there as well, but these brands just want to talk directly to the creators and not go through those middlemen a lot of the times. And it's also a very family-friendly event. Now, if you don't need to have a family channel for Clamor to be for you. There's a lot of non-family friendly channels that are there, and Clamor does a good job of kind of not separating them into two kind of camps, but just making it easy for anyone who's got parents or anyone who's got kids who are parents there, and family channels that they can kind of go through this have a certain experience. And then the other channels where maybe targeting more mature audiences, those channels can have a great experience there as well, but without kind of interfering and having to censor themselves from the kids and stuff like that. So they did a great job at that, while still giving everyone access to each other. So I thought it was a great balance. But yeah, so the value of Clamor is shaking hands with brands and getting yourself on their lists where they just mail stuff out and they're sending you things and they're reaching out for deals. And I know several people, friends of mine, who leave Clamor each year with several six-figure brand deals kind of in the back of their pocket ready to go. And the other thing about Clamor is that since it's not super over-programmed, in terms of content trading, it's really good for networking, for hanging out, for meeting people, shaking hands, getting introduced to other people, not just with brands, but with other creators. And so, and that is an event that I take my kids to as well. Very family friendly, got lots of stuff going on for kids because they do have a lot of kid channels that come. So, and we come home with like a suitcases full of swag and material and free product that these brands are giving away, kind of just for creators to play with on their videos if they choose to. So love Clamor. It's a good event as well. Now, YouTube themselves also has training events that you may or may not be familiar with, and it is they happen at any of the YouTube spaces around the world, and I've been to a few of those now as well. This year, I went to 2 of them out in Toronto, at YouTube Space Toronto. And I'd say those are, even if the topic isn't something that you would want to dig into, it's just they're one-day events, not overnight. It's typically like a morning and afternoon type of thing. And I'll say the content is pretty general. It's not too specific. It's kind of like, here's a broad view, like a really high level view of these different topics. So you're not going to go too deep, but where I found the value of these is actually networking with people at YouTube and getting access, or not getting access, but seeing the space that they have available for creators. And I think anytime that you can go to a place like YouTube Space for training that's straight from YouTube, even though it might not go too deep, there's always like nuggets in there that make it worth it for me, or worth going. And sometimes it's not actually like new information that's in the presentation for me. It's actually like, oh, I've never thought of it that way before. Or they say something that I'm like, oh, and it jogs a question in my mind that I probably wouldn't have thought to ask unless they made a certain point or said something. And then I follow up with those questions with them directly afterwards, during the hangout times and networking times. And I found that that's where the real value of those events come out for me. So if you're new, brand new to YouTube, or very new, so smaller channel, you're kind of getting started, I would definitely recommend that you go to one of the YouTube spaces if it works for you, and go through those trainings. So it is very foundational training that every creator needs to know, and then to give you access to those employees, answer questions and things is really good as well. So highly recommend that one if you're new or just need to connect with YouTube people. And then another one here is Social Media Marketing World. I think it's number 10. I'm not really sure what number I'm on, but Social Media Marketing World happens in San Diego every end of February, beginning of March. And I've been at this one for a few years now. Social Media Marketing World is just what it sounds like. It's social media marketing. So they have a video track, a YouTube track, but it's not only YouTube. It is also Instagram. It's also Facebook and Snapchat and blogging and podcasting and Twitter and LinkedIn. It's like all the social platforms, and all the top experts from all of those platforms are there. And so you can get some good YouTube training, but in terms of who you're going to be rubbing shoulders with, you're not necessarily YouTubers in the traditional sense of that word. They're more like businessmen and women who have a YouTube channel that's, promotes and markets their work. But what I recommend about this though is, content marketing world is great if you're really looking at wanting to do more with blogging and podcasting and emails and sales funnels and things like that. But social media marketing world is that, but it also includes all the other social platforms. So for example, I know I really need to up my game on Instagram and Facebook. Okay, I am in the Facebook partner program now. I'm not sure how that happens, but I am. And so I need to learn a lot more about Facebook video right now. And so social media marketing world is a great place to go to get okay, I need to learn a lot about a lot of these platforms right now, and I only have time and money to go to one event. I say social media marketing world will give you that smorgasbord of all the platforms that you really want to dive into, and you can get access to that material there. They also do a good job that if you want to network, you can. The lunches are provided there, and they have different tables set out that have different topics posted on them, and so you find whatever topic you want to go to and sit down at that table. The table will already have a facilitator there who's prepared and ready to lead a discussion and help you get to know some other people who are also interested in that topic. And so it's not just like hey, come to this event and hope you meet some people. Like, they're doing things that intentionally help you connect and meet other people, as well as discuss the content that you're learning with those types of people in those groups, and just a lot of good stuff there. Oh, and they do a great job in the evening of having networking events as well. I would say the networking events that they do there do require that you take the initiative to reach out and shake people's hands and introduce yourself. There's not going to be anyone there just like, oh, let us walk you around and introduce you to lots of people for you. Like, you will have to take some initiative. But that's true about any of these events. No one there is going to, force you to meet people. If you just want to hibernate in your hotel room, or you're just going to stand in the corner and not talk to anyone, someone might come talk to you, but you're guaranteed to talk to someone if you initiate first. So that's important there. Now, I want to go through some of the questions that you guys have about some of these events that you guys have. And so if you have those, leave those in the chat, and Laura will pick those up for you guys. Variety Girl 1 asks, don't you need a minimum number of subscribers for YouTube Space events? Yes, and there's different eligibility requirements they have for different things there. For example, if you want to rent, or not rent, but borrow equipment, if you want to use one of the shooting studios or the edit bays there, those are all different requirements that you need to have. But I think to go through the classes, if I'm not, don't quote me on this, I should have probably looked this up, so it's a good question, Variety Girl. But I'm pretty sure it's around 1,000 subscribers or so, so not super high. Basically, kind of anyone in the partner program. I should, like I said, I should look that up. YouTube Space. Let's Google it right now. Eligibility requirements. But I'm pretty sure it's around 1,000. Okay, so to produce, you need to have 10,000 subscribers, or 1,000 subscribers if you're registered nonprofit to unlock the space. But I think to take the classes, I think you need a lot less. So I'll put a link in the show notes that you guys can look that up if that's of interest to you, and you can check that out, those events. So good question. Thank you for asking that. I should have been more prepared for that. Thank you, Pixel Game Squad, for the $2 super chat, and congratulations. It just hit 13,000 in our first year on YouTube. You helped. Congratulations. I'm sure you worked really hard for that, but I'm glad that you let us be a small part of that and helping you achieve that goal. So awesome. Good job, Pixel Game Squad. And let's see, you guys. Sarah Dawn says, thanks for the info on the Toronto YouTube space. I don't qualify now, but I'm on their mailing list, and they're super close to me, so convenient. Awesome, Sarah Dawn, yes. So yeah, guys, check out all these things. You can Google any of their names and check out more information about when their events are happening and how much it costs. And hopefully this just helps you, because I know there's a lot of them out there, a lot of these events, and kind of gives you an idea for what you should focus on and where you should put your time and your money and your energy when it comes to, attending some of these events. So if you can't attend the events, like I said, I do record my sessions and post those for members of the channel, formerly known as sponsors of the channel. So those of you guys who are members, you will be getting some more of those recordings here in the next week or two from this past week, and get all those full-length sessions. So if you can't attend, you can still get at least the content I'm presenting for $5 a month on YouTube. So thank you guys for your support, plus access to our call-in live streams and other materials and trainings that I post there for you guys as well. And some of you guys are asking questions about other events, asking my opinions on them. The ones you guys are asking about, I haven't been to nor been a part of. I do know that in general, like the virtual summits that you might see going around, I am a part of those, and I stopped being a part of them just because they feel so slimy. Most of them feel just so slimy now, like in terms of like their marketing. And I actually I get probably maybe a few times a month, I get a request to become a part of another virtual summit. And all they are is someone does a 45-minute interview in a Zoom call with someone like myself. They record it, and then they just post it and charge you access, and then they just kind of expect that it's my job to sell it for them. And they give me an affiliate link. I'm like, I have plenty of other things to sell, and I have other things going on than to promote your thing for you right now. So no, I don't. So I don't do those anymore. I haven't found that the value that those provide typically has been worth it. So I would probably not do that one, but or do those. So, but the other ones you're mentioning, I just don't know. I'm sorry. So I hope that's helpful for you guys. We're looking forward to hearing your feedback. If you're listening to the podcast recording of this, events that you've been to, the ones that you found valuable. If you're watching the replay of this on YouTube, comment with those down below. And if you're listening to the recording, tweet me at Tim Schmoyer. And we got new podcasts for you every single week on Tuesday here on SoundCloud, iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, and Spotify. So subscribe if you haven't already, and leave us a review. We'd love to hear how this podcast is helping you and what it means for you, and the value that you're getting out of it. And it really does help us on the show too. Kind of promotes it in iTunes and helps other people be able to join our community as well. So thank you guys for hanging out, and I'll see you guys again next week for our live stream, which happens on Mondays at 2 p.m. Eastern Time here at youtube.com/video creators. And we will see you guys again next week. Bye.